Good evening, I'm Debbie Cooper.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes, and here's what's making news tonight.
Your kids have been disqualified because of a technicality over a color of pants?
A parent says his 7-year-old lost a medal because he wore black jeans, not black pants.
Residential school all over again.
A large number of Aboriginal children from Labrador are in foster care on the Northern Peninsula.
The reality of it is we've hammered every species, one after the other.
Last week's assessment, shrimp stocks are down. This week, crab follows suit.
Well, here in the weather department, quiet through tonight, but we are watching our next system rolling in through the day. Tomorrow, snow, ice pellets, and rain on the way. The details are coming up.
Well, our top story tonight, a 7-year-old bowler learns the hard way about playing by the rules. In this case, the rule is you must have black pants, not black faded jeans. This past weekend, Grayson Powell from Kelligrews was bowling at St. Pat's and St. John's. He threw so well that his team won the Provincial B tournament. But according to Grayson's dad, the team was disqualified by the local head of Youth Bowling Canada, Corner Brook's Gord Davis.
For Gord to say that a rule is a rule, I'm not arguing it one bit, but how he did it, to let the kids bowl, let them win, because they obviously won the tournament, and to pull the parents into a room while the kids are out on the floor waiting for their medals and say, your kids have been disqualified because of a technicality over a color of pants, he should be ashamed of himself. And for him to go back to Corner Brook saying that we won a provincial medal, no, the 3 individuals that bowled on Saturday, they're the ones that won that medal. At the end of the day, what I want from Gord, I don't care about the medal. I know his kids do. I need him to make this right so it doesn't happen to another kid in the future. So A is either he reverses his decision and give those kids back their medals, or give this team a written apology so the public can see that he made the wrong decision. This is where he went wrong.
CBC reached out to Gord Davis, but as of airtime, we had not heard back from him. You'll hear more from Grayson Powell's father in about 25 minutes on Here and Now.
Well, controversy erupted this morning at the Dumpy inquiry. Nick Avis, the lawyer representing the RNC, submitted a request for all correspondence between commission lawyers and expert witnesses. Avis argued that experts are, quote, easily tainted and may want to say what they think lawyers want them to say. Now, if accepted, expert reports could be removed from evidence at the inquiry. So Judge Leo Berry blasted the police force for that request, saying it could delay the work of the commission, significantly increase costs, and block the inquiry from making recommendations.
Frankly, I am surprised, to say mildly. I find it almost unbelievable that at this stage, after I think virtually every witness who we've had from the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary, particularly at the management side, have been open and transparent and helpful and cooperative and prepared, as far as I could see, to listen to opinions that might lead to change, or opinions that might lead to recommendations that would lead to change.
Well, Berry eventually asked Avis to withdraw the request, which he did. Avis said he may submit a revised application at a later time, and we'll have more from the Dumpy inquiry in about 35 minutes. Well, the people who run the food bank in Bay Roberts are scratching their heads after someone broke in and stole food and money. It happened at the Helping Hands Inter-Church Goodwill Center last Wednesday night. The items stolen, turkeys and hams, were destined for Easter hampers. Thieves also took a microwave and a coffee fund jar, and they busted a window to get inside.
There is more bad news in the fishery. This time it's crab stocks. The latest assessment of snow crabs shows a substantial decline in stocks. The Department of Fisheries and Oceans says stocks stretching from southern Labrador to the south coast are at the lowest level in 3 years. There's an overall decline of 40% since 2015-16. The news is especially alarming for the Grand Banks area, which DFO says has been the site of the world's largest snow crab fishery for about a decade. Warmer waters is being blamed as the main reason for the decline.
Certainly it is very concerning. There's little we can do to essentially fix the situation. The damage has largely been done through over the last decade or so under warming conditions where the productivity of the stock has gone down. So there's not much that actually can be done other than to try to adjust the fishing and other management measures in real time.
Which is not what fish harvesters want to hear. This news comes on top of last week's report from DFO that said shrimp stocks are at the lowest levels ever. Harvester Tom Best says the commercial fishery isn't doing itself any favors by continuing to deplete stocks.
The reality of it is we've hammered every species one after the other. We've been involved in all kinds of practices that are not appropriate, not sustainable, and these are the consequences. It happened with cod, happened with capelin, and has obviously happened with shrimp, and now with crab. I mean, these are the main species that we fish in this province in coastal fishing villages to survive.
Well, the improved price of iron ore could bring more good news to Labrador West. Alderon is reviving its Kami Mine project. The plan was shelved in 2014 because of the collapse of iron ore prices. The company will have obstacles to overcome before it can go ahead with the development. First, it needs to raise about $900 million to cover costs. Alderon also wants to use the pit at the Scully Mine in Wabush to dispose of its tailings. Attempts to gain access to that site have been stymied while the former mine is in creditor protection. The mine would take more than 2 years to build and have a lifespan of nearly 3 decades. The announcement comes just days after the IOC decided to push ahead with the long-awaited Wabush 3 project.
The report on last year's controversy involving the Spaniards Bay Volunteer Fire Department is now public. Council voted in a split decision to accept the review undertaken by a police investigator. The 112-page report concludes that there is no evidence to imply that any member of the department was subject to harassment. Rather, it states there is evidence of heated discussion and aggressive debate. The finding came despite complaints of a pornographic film being shown at a training session and jokes made to a woman that her male colleagues had masturbated on a piece of her clothing. Now, Council voted to accept the review Monday evening by a margin of 5 votes to 2. Only Brenda Seymour, the firefighter and town councillor at the center of the issue, and Councillor Tony Dominics voted against it. Seymour did not participate in the review, saying she did not have faith in the investigator or the process by which he was selected.
Well, there's word tonight that a man is facing charges because of a small explosion at the Come By Chance oil refinery last October. The 40-year-old is from Carbonear, and he will be in court in April on charges of mischief, endangering life, and mischief over $5,000. Police allege the man set off the explosion by placing a small bag of welding gas in the welding area of a temporary building. No one was injured and there was no damage. Now, at the time, North Atlantic Refining blamed the incident on malicious activity by people who were not company employees. An investigation continues into a small plane crash in Riverside, California. The plane went down yesterday in a residential area, leaving 3 people dead and 2 others injured. The occupants were returning home from a cheerleading competition at Disneyland.
It's horrible, especially when you couple together that they were going to a cheer competition and this is supposedly a happy time, and then just to have a tragic incident like this.
The crash destroyed 2 homes and touched off fires in several others. Debris was scattered nearly a kilometer away. A married couple and 3 teenagers were on board the plane. It had just taken off from the airport in Riverside, which is about 80 kilometers southeast of Los Angeles.
They are uprooted. All over Labrador, children are in crisis with nowhere to go. So the province has been quietly sending these children from Aboriginal communities to small towns in Newfoundland. Over the past decade, dozens of children have been removed from their families in Labrador and placed in care with foster parents on the Northern Peninsula. Tonight, our Terry Roberts goes inside the families and communities struggling with issues affecting their children. And we learn what's at stake for the towns where these foster children have been moved.
Residential school all over again in a different form.
For the first time in a rural community in a number of years, school enrollment in Roddington has actually increased.
You see it on a regular basis that children are being apprehended.
The children are treated as if they're their own children.
Another flight outbound from Nain. All too often, these planes are carrying young children, foster children, taken away from their families, their communities.
Would you like them cut up on your plate and pour the syrup over?
They often end up here, in Roddington, nearly 1,600 kilometers to the south, in the care of one of the dozens of foster homes in the area. Here's what a typical morning looks like in one of those homes. Two brothers, preschoolers, quietly enjoy their breakfast.
Wakey, wakey.
A little girl, snuggled tightly in the arms of a woman we'll call Jane Smith. A heartwarming family scene. Typical morning rituals. These foster children depend on Smith for everything.
It's our way of pouring a little love into something that we can do.
Roddington residents, opening their homes, their hearts, to these uprooted, innocent youngsters.
They're treated as their own. I have friends doing this. The children are treated as if they're their own children. Basically, that's how it is. They're loved, they're adored, they're involved. They don't just have them and put them aside.
It's a sobering situation. The numbers tell the story. There are 950 children in foster care in the province. 310 are Aboriginal children from Labrador. Labrador has just 6% of the province's population, but 30% of the foster children come from there. Of the 310 Aboriginal foster children, 100 of them are in care outside of Labrador. Why? There's just not enough suitable foster homes in Labrador. Richard Pommock represents Nain in the Nunavut government and is an outspoken advocate for children in the community.
It's hard to deal with. I mean, you see it on a regular basis that children are being apprehended, and every effort is being made to try to keep the children within the community.
In many cases, the children are being concentrated right here in the Roddington area. 45 foster homes, 55 foster children, average age 8. A situation that began about a decade ago. The numbers have steadily increased. Angley Mayor Rudy Porter says the foster children have likely saved the school in his town.
We were actually expecting that the population would dwindle down and eventually the students would end up going bus to Roddington, but that hasn't happened because of the fact of the influx of the Labrador children.
A new office building, headquarters for a growing contingent of social workers and support staff. Some say it's the only government service in the region that's growing. Businesses benefit. A steady flow of Labrador parents traveling at government expense for supervised visits with their children.
It certainly helps the economy and certainly helps people that some income comes from this to help them survive and live in during difficult times.
After the break, we ask the question, has fostering become an industry on the Northern Peninsula?
But at this point in time, in Roddington, being a foster parent is successful.
Well, coming up later, we'll tell you about a St. John's woman who's turning heads because of the amount of weight she's able to lift.
Welcome back to Here and Now. Well, what can be done for the uprooted children of Labrador, removed from their families and put in foster care in remote Newfoundland towns hundreds of kilometers away from home? Is it another residential school scandal waiting to happen, or are these foster families in places like Roddickton and Anglee the only solution for a very big problem? Terry Roberts now with part 2 of Uprooted.
Homework on the table. A box of crayons. This could be any home. But for these children, home is complicated. They're foster kids from Labrador, now in Roddickton, where some say fostering has become an industry. Jane Smith has heard the whispers.
We've heard the quote, "in it for the money." I don't like that, because if someone's doing it for the money, you can't, for me, it's pouring your heart and soul into it. So I don't even think of the money aspect.
So are these kids from troubled Labrador homes propping up a struggling economy in rural Newfoundland? Absolutely not, says Sherry Gambin-Walsh.
I would say it just so happens that at this point in time, in Roddickton, being a foster parent is successful. You know, people have seen each other, they mentor each other, they support each other, and it's a good word of mouth. Word of mouth is our best, is our best way of advertising and advertising to get homes for children. So if a family is very successful in fostering and another family up the street or next door sees this, they want to get engaged and involved also. Right. And that's really what's happening.
Anglee's mayor used to be a teacher. He knows kids, and he knows this town better than most.
I see that these children are being well cared for. They are integrated, and parents go to nth degree to accommodate them and look after them. I've even seen some of them, I've been hunting, and I've actually seen some of them out hunting, which relates to their own Labrador culture and environment.
Anything else stick out for anyone that they want to ask questions on?
Back in Nain, when the town's top police officer makes his monthly report to the town council, it's typically an eye-opener. For November, 139 calls for service to the RCMP. Break-and enters, impaired drivers, domestic disputes. More than enough to keep 7 officers busy.
A lot of the calls are alcohol related, I would say, and there appears to be a higher number of prisoners that go through the cell block.
There's so many factors that have created the situation that we're in today. Relocation, residential schools, the lack of housing, with 30% unemployment rate in the community. So there's a lot of factors that come into play when we look at some of the reasons why some of our children are being taken from our communities and placed in foster homes elsewhere.
Pamuk estimates 30 children from Nain are in foster care outside of Labrador, enough to fill nearly 2 classrooms at Jens Haven School. In a community of just 1,400 people, that represents a lot of broken homes. Children that should be showing up for school right here in Nain, getting an education in communities far, far away. Here's a picture, a dysfunctional family portrait. A mother from Nain visiting her child in Roddickton for the first time in 3 years.
Just started drinking out of nowhere and I lost my children.
She blames alcohol for breaking up so many families and wishes there was more help for parents like her.
I would love to reunite with us, but where she's in continuous custody, I think it's going to be hard for me to fight for her.
While the separation is painful, she believes her child is receiving good care.
It would be good for parents to see how they're being taken care of and for them to realize they need to take care of their children like that too.
Good care. But is it good for the future of the children? And what does it mean for their cultural identity? A complex problem. No easy answers.
Here now's Terry Roberts is joining us live. Terry, a very revealing look into the foster care dilemma in Labrador. How did you come upon this story?
Well, yeah, Debbie, I visited the Northern Peninsula last fall to gather material for a series I was doing on really what's a population crisis facing that area. Now, communities really are emptying out, but I discovered something completely different when I went to Roddickton. It was all the talk in the town. Families taking in about 55 Aboriginal children, an unbelievable number for such a small region.
And you have more on this story for us tomorrow night. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we'll have another item looking at Aboriginal children, why they are so overrepresented in the child protection system, and what is being done to address that.
Thanks so much, Terry. We'll look forward to tomorrow night's feature report. That is, here now's Terry Roberts reporting.
You're a quick mover.
Very fast, like that.
From the big screen to the desk.
That's it.
You went to the gym this morning, to the treadmill, right?
Anyway, that was a bit of a fast turnaround to get over here, but it was well worth having a chat with Terry about his series, and as we said, more tomorrow night.
That's right.
So what's coming on in the weather?
Yeah, as we segue to the weather now, we're talking about some active weather on the way. We've got round one for as we move into Wednesday, round two arriving for Thursday, and that round two is going to stick around for a while, especially for you folks in Labrador. Here's how things are looking right now. Pretty quiet. We've got a few onshore flurries for you folks along the west coast. Labrador's been already clearing out. We've got this little ridge of high pressure that's going to be ducking in tonight, clearing the skies. That'll mean a cool start again for tomorrow, but a quiet start for the island. Labrador will start already to get into some of this, the leading edge of this next system, which is already tracking up across central parts of Quebec. And really starting to fill out now over the Great Lakes with showers on the menu there. And again, there's actually two lows here that we're going to be watching, round one and then round two. And it's a round one that we'll be dealing with obviously first. And you can see the warmer air that's coming in with this system as well. So it is going to be mixing over to some showers and rain for much of the island, basically everyone south of the Northern Peninsula. And these temperatures you're seeing in Toronto and Montreal right now at 8 degrees, that's the air mass that we're going to be tapping into, with temperatures into those mid to high single digits looking set by the time we get to Thursday. Here's how it will play out in terms of your timeline. Note the winds that, yes, have been breezy today, adding to those wind chills. Those winds will start to ease off as we roll into tomorrow. Still some gusts upwards of 50 along the northeast coast into the metro region, but overall it is a quieter start for tomorrow with, again, clearing skies. We'll see that snow edging into Labrador. As we take a look into the noon to 2 p.m. time period, that's when we'll start to see that snow rolling on to the west coast. For central Newfoundland and across to St. John's, it looks like a late afternoon into the early evening time frame arrival with a couple hours of snow here. And yes, I'll show you the snowfall map in just a second, but could see 5 centimeters for many, even 5 to 10 central towards west. But it's a pretty fairly quick transition here to periods of rain for, again, areas south of the Northern Peninsula. And then rain will be the bulk of the precip that does fall, especially over the south and east. By the time we get to Thursday morning then, we are going to be taking a look at round one exiting and round two then rolling in through the day on Thursday. So as of Thursday morning, this is round one only, and you can see where we are looking at upwards of 2 to 5 centimeters for a good portion of the south and east, with anywhere from 5 millimeters to as much as 20 to 30 millimeters over the southwest coast. Snow and ice could be upwards of 5 to 10 centimeters for central. Back towards the Corner Brook region with another 5 to 10 millimeters, although Corner Brook, I think, has a better chance of seeing amounts closer to 5 centimeters with 10 to 20 millimeters of rain. And then that snow will really, again, have the best chance of seeing 10 to 15 centimeters for the Grossmore and higher elevation areas back towards the Bayvert Peninsula. Rainfall warnings are in effect for the southwest coast, Port aux Basques and Burgeo, with that rain on the way. Here's your outlook for tomorrow morning as you're bundling those kids up for school. 6, 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, again, starting in the minus 8 to minus 14 range. We are looking at that snow edging in by morning to Happy Valley Goose Bay. Tomorrow afternoon, again, that snow spreads in throughout the day. Temperatures will be up to +1 by supper time in the west, +4 that is for Port aux Basques, -12 in Labrador City. And a quick look at that 7 to 7 as we depart, you can see we are looking at that mix arriving in the evening. A couple centimeters of snow, but the rain takes over here in Metro. We'll have your long-range forecast right through the weekend coming up.
Well, from gold medal to disqualification, why a young boy's pants got his team disqualified after they won the provincial bowling tournament. The boy's father explains coming up. Welcome back to Here and Now. While the Trump administration courted the Bowling Green controversy, a youth tournament in St. John's last weekend has stirred a bowling jeans controversy. 7-year-old Grayson Powell was disqualified from a tournament at St. Pat's because he wore the wrong kind of pants. Now, his father, Todd, spoke with Here and Now.
For Grayson to be able to bowl in this tournament, it was more of a fun tournament to get him out into the competitive, see what it's like, bowl against other centers, meet friends, and understand the sport a little more as it grows. In regards to the tournament, it's a fun tournament. They weren't going anywhere if they won. All they were winning at the end of the day was a medal and a jacket. So when my wife went out to out of the room, she went out to the lanes, told Grayson, "We're going home. You've been disqualified for wearing a different color pants." So he got very upset, cried. Jennifer said, "I wish I had to take a picture of him because he has his own bowling balls." Putting his own bowling balls back in his bag, he was upset. The ruling was that Grayson's pants weren't sufficient enough. He did wear a faded black jean. I understand the rule. I'm not arguing the rule whatsoever.
And the rule is?
The rule is you had to wear black pants. The problem I have with it is that they allowed him to bowl prior. We have a 15-minute warm-up. Gord Davis was the head of the YBC program, could have approached our team, our director. They could have approached her and said, Grayson needs to wear black pants. Give us a bit of an option to go out. Neither was said, so they continued to let Grayson bowl in this tournament. The outcome, I think what went wrong was, Gord Davis owns bowling lanes in Corner Brook. He's also the head of the YBC in Newfoundland. By disqualifying the Riverdale Lane team, Gord automatically came default as first place. To me, it looks like Gord goes back to Corner Brook. He has his promoting his bowling. We just won provincial tournaments. Sign your kids up to my lanes. More money for him, more profit for him. I think that's where it went wrong. And for Gord to say that a rule is a rule, I'm not arguing it one bit, but how he did it, to let the kids bowl, let them win, because they obviously won the tournament, and to pull the parents into a room while the kids are out on the floor waiting for their medals and say, your kids have been disqualified because of a technicality over a color of pants, he should be ashamed of himself. And for him to go back to Corner Brook saying that we won a provincial medal, no, the 3 individuals that bowled on Saturday, they're the ones that won that medal. At the end of the day, what I want from Gord, I don't care about the medal. I know his kids do. I need him to make this right so it doesn't happen to another kid in the future. So A, is either he reverse his decision and give those kids back their medals, or give this team a written apology so the public can see that he made the wrong decision. This is where he went wrong.
Okay, so you just heard Todd Powell mention Gordon Davis. He's the head of the YBC in this province. Now, we did call Davis to get his side of this story, but we haven't heard back yet.
There's been a huge amount of interest in the Constable Carl Douglas Snellgrove case, and what should happen now that he's been acquitted of sexual assault? Here Now's Glenn Payette has been looking into this today. So what have you found out, Glenn?
Well, Debbie, I contacted John Rourke, who is the Public Complaints Commissioner with the Commission. Well, Rourke didn't do an on-camera interview. He didn't want to go on radio either, but he did go on the record. He says the Commission has received a complaint from the woman involved in this case. He says the public needs to realize that now that Snellgrove has been found not guilty, the Commission cannot consider rape or sexual assault if there's any disciplinary action to be taken against Snellgrove.
So what could it look at then?
Well, Snellgrove has admitted that he had sex with the woman while on duty, and Rourke says the question for RNC Chief William Janes and the Commission is whether Snellgrove's actions amounted to professional misconduct and brought the RNC into disrepute in the eyes of the public. Now, given the demonstrations and the public outcry, that would seem to be the case. Now, Rourke says there's no section of the RNC Act or its standards and procedures that say an officer can't have sex while on duty. At trial, Snellgrove said the woman consented to the sex. She said she doesn't know if she did because she had been drinking.
But Snellgrove has admitted, hasn't he, to breaching RNC policy?
Yes, the policy says that if an officer has a woman in a car and is taking her somewhere, he has to call the communications center, tell them he has a woman in the cruiser, give them the time and mileage on the vehicle, and then when he drops her off, call in again to report the time and mileage. Well, Snellgrove said in court he didn't do that. Well, the RNC Act lays out what officers are allowed to do and what they are not allowed to do. It says officers must obey constabulary regulations, orders, and rules respecting policy and procedures. And under the Act, there are restrictions on what an officer can do. One of them says a police officer shall not engage in any activity that would prevent or impair his or her ability to be recalled to duty by the chief. Well, clearly, that one's open to interpretation.
Okay, so where are we now, Glenn?
Well, in a sense, everything's on hold until we find out if the Crown is going to appeal Snellgrove's acquittal. If there is an appeal, the Chief and Commission won't take any action until the matter goes through the courts again. Well, going back to last Friday, the Crown has 30 days to appeal. Well, if the Crown doesn't appeal, the ball is in Chief Jane's court. He has to decide what he wants to do. It starts with him. He could hold an internal investigation, but he could also decide that given the public interest in this matter, that it would be inappropriate for the RNC to do an internal investigation and hand it directly to the Public Complaints Commissioner. Then Commissioner Rourke would hire a civilian to investigate the matter. To be clear, this starts with Chief Janes, though. He has to decide how he is going to handle it. Let's say he does what people are asking and he fires Snellgrove. Snellgrove could appeal that to the Commission and ask for an independent investigation. And let's say the chief doesn't fire Snellgrove and disciplines him in a less severe manner, a demotion. Then the woman could appeal to the Commission.
Glenn, I'm just wondering, has the Commission ever dealt with a case like this before?
Well, according to Rourke, no. The Commission's been around for about 22 years or so, and Rourke says others who have been there longer than him, he says he's been there for 7 years, says the Commission has never dealt with a case like this.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Glenn. More to come.
You're welcome.
The story of a power lifter who is straining to lift her way into the record books. That's coming up. Well, as we showed you earlier, controversy flared briefly at the Dumpy inquiry today. The RNC's lawyer told the inquiry he would apply for disclosure of correspondence between Commission lawyers and expert witnesses. Nick Avis said, quote, "Experts are easily tainted, wanting to say what you want them to say." Now, that had inquiry chair Judge Leo Barry seeing red, questioning whether the police force was trying to stop the inquiry from doing its work. He also said it would be costly and delay the inquiry. The RNC later withdrew the application, but then in a somewhat rare move during a sitting inquiry, Barry spoke with reporters.
No basis for that. And you have to go back and check with counsel and just see how long they've known that these particular individuals will be called, these experts will be called, how long they've known the types of questions that would be put to them, and how much money would be lost to the province, wasted, after we've retained these people, had them working for several months, have airfares, tickets already purchased to come from Western Canada. I think 3 of them are from Western Canada. That's not something I want to see happen. I don't want to see any waste of money. I don't want to see any additional costs because the inquiry is expanded unduly in terms of time. And I'm going to deal with the case of these experts. If any council has a problem with the qualifications of the expert or what questions being put to them in terms of assessing credibility or whatever, I will deal with it at that time. And I think that will be fair. I think there's no prejudice being shown. And in terms of your initial question as to whether there's any contamination, there is some confusion in terms of how you would act in a litigation process where you have two adversaries, and how an inquiry is supposed to operate, where I'm supposed to be basically investigating and getting as much information as I can to assist in preparing proper recommendations. And there's no prejudice in terms of the inquiry council going to these experts, for example, in terms of having assistance in preparing proper questions. That's what's contemplated in terms of experts who will be assisting someone in an inquiry. Inquiry council have been down the middle. The operating principle is one of fairness. I have to be fair. I have to be fair to all the parties, and I've tried scrupulously to do that, as have the Commission Council.
Well, a St. John's based powerlifter is gearing up for some heavy competitions, hoping to lift her way into the record books. Maria T. is training for upcoming events in Quebec, the U.S., and Russia. We met up with her at Good Life Fitness in St. John's, where she trains, to hear how she got to this point.
I started as bodybuilding a few years ago. I was competing in bikini bodybuilder show, and then I switched it to figure. And after 2 weeks after I competed and win the overall figure show, I switched it to powerlifting, and I did really well. I won my category and I won the Best Female Lifter award. 2015, I went to Finland. And I won bronze in female 57. In 2016, I competed in Texas. I didn't do well, but at national, I did well. I won the Best Female Lifter award, and I'm currently the Best Female Lifter in Canada. Based on pounds by pounds, they calculate our body weight and the weight we're lifting. So currently right now, I'm the first female in Canada that have over 500 wilk.
Maria, how tall are you?
4'11". I got that question a lot. I'm right now training for getting ready for the Arnold Classic 2017 in Ohio, Columbus. Got invited in Slingshot Pro powerlifting, and weeks after that I have another competition in Quebec City, Canadian National Powerlifting.
So how much weight is this?
It's going to be 375.
375 pounds?
Yes.
So what is that?
For doubles.
So that's 250 pounds more than you weigh?
Yes.
Go. Yes. Come on.
I would like to get 400 pounds squat and some world records.
The weather update is brought to you by Belltone Hearing Service St. John's, helping the world hear better.
Wow.
I lifted 115 pounds this morning.
Yeah, I could probably do maybe 3 or 4 of these. My arms are getting kind of tired already.
Oh my goodness, good luck,
Very
Maria,
impressive.
with all those competitions.
So, Stokesy, I know you're an avid gardener.
Yes.
Are you starting any prep?
Well, I have of course, all of my bulbs in the ground from last year, and I'm just daydreaming over all of my seed magazines every day, just waiting for spring.
Well,
soon.
That's right. Well, let this picture encourage all of you gardeners out there. Now, it looks like Suzanne had to dig a little bit, certainly cleared the snow away, but underneath that snow, she found a little sign of life, and those are her tulips, which are starting to sprout.
Very encouraging.
Yes.
I want to go home and start digging under the snow now.
Yeah, well, just make
See
sure
if
you
there's
cover them
anything
back up
there.
again, because it's going to be a chilly night tonight. But yeah, obviously the double-digit temps over the weekend when that rain has got things brewing under the surface, which is good. And as you look at this map over eastern North America right now, that is definitely a sign of spring as well. As we look at those temperatures, 20 degrees in Atlanta, 19 in Nashville, 23 in St. Louis. These are very, very warm temperatures, even for this time of year, surging up. You can see 8 degrees in Toronto right now, and that is thanks to our next system, which is starting to roll in. And we are going to be seeing mid to high single digits in our neck of the woods over the Thursday time period here across Newfoundland. Here's how things are going to play out. Watch your timeline here. Very quiet across the island for tonight. We're going to be seeing that next system roll in with some snow into Labrador. Moving into Happy Valley Goose Bay by tomorrow morning. The island, again, it's a quiet start for the kiddies off to the buses tomorrow morning. No concerns for your commute. Into the lunchtime hour, early afternoon is when that snow will arrive on the west coast. It'll then march into central, late afternoon, and into St. John's as we roll. Looks like around the supper time hour. A few hours of snow here, certainly 3, 4, as much as 5 hours of snowfall, and as much as 2 to 5 centimeters of snow for the south and east, with additional totals looking likely and more totals looking likely for central towards western Newfoundland. Your map in a second there. Your highs by about 4 p.m. tomorrow. We are looking at temperatures rising up close to the freezing mark and as warm as +4 in Port aux Basques, gust to 80 along parts of that west coast, -12 in Labrador City. So picking things up at 4 p.m. There's the snow that continues to spread in, and through the evening hours is when we're going to change over to rain for areas south of the northern peninsula. Those periods of rain and drizzle will continue as we roll into the Thursday morning time period, and then round one will depart. And before it departs, this is what it's going to be dropping. Again, as much as 10 to 15 centimeters from that southern section of the northern peninsula to the Baie Verte Peninsula, 5 to 10 centimeters for the higher elevations of Corner Brook back into central. But Corner Brook, I think, a pretty solid shot at looking at 10 to 20 millimeters of rain, 5 to 10 here for the metro region. By the time we get to Thursday evening, round 2 will be moving in, and this is where it's going to be spreading more snow back up towards the northern peninsula into southeastern Labrador. So this is Thursday evening, and you can see -12 to 17 for Labrador for highs on Thursday. 7 on the plus side with more showers and drizzle through the day on Thursday across southeastern parts of Newfoundland. Showers, drizzle, and fog for central and west. And then round 2 will actually roll up into the Labrador Sea, and it's going to kind of bomb out, stall out here, and very strong winds for the coast of Labrador will likely continue even into the weekend. You can see those temperatures will be dropping across the island with onshore flurries and snow squalls firing up. So it's a quick warm up, and then we're really dropping back down in terms of those temperatures through the weekend with scattered flurry chances right through the weekend. And into Labrador again, unsettled in the east, but sunny skies breaking in the west.
Let's meet our young athlete of the day who comes from Paradise. This is Sophia White, who is 7 years old.
And she's a member of the Mount Pearl Paradise Beginner Synchro Skating Team.
We wish you all the best. Congrats on being today's young athlete of the day.
Well, you'll meet a man who is injecting new life into these old photographs. That's coming up. Welcome back to Hearing Now. Well, the St. John's Man is bringing moments in history back to life. These are old photos restored by Gerard Nash. He's turned his personal restoration projects into a business called the Photo Mender. Using Photoshop, Nash colorizes old damaged photos of the people and places of Newfoundland, turning decades-old moments into living color. Gorgeous.
They are fabulous. Okay, we have a few more pictures we'd just like to show you.
Worth a look for sure.
Oh my goodness, lovely. That's worth having a look at. Well, with winter comes snow shovels, sore backs, and short days, but to combat the seasonal struggles, cricket players in St. John's have been picking up wickets, bats, and balls. The 2017 winter cricket season ended on Sunday with a handful of matches at the Powerplex and the handing out of the championship trophy. Cricket Newfoundland and Labrador's Gurman Gurana talked to us about the league.
Well, Cricket Newfoundland has arranged the Winter League here. So we have a couple of teams playing the Winter League, and today is the final at the Powerplex. Well, we've been playing cricket indoors for now 7 years. We used to play at the Mun Gym, but we've recently moved to the Powerplex for the past 2 years. Right now we have around 6 teams, but last year we had a better showing of around 8 teams. But yeah, it's on and off, but on average it's more than 6. When I got here, there was hardly a league. We only had around 7-8 players that, mostly students playing with a tennis ball, not organized. And then we started getting things together, and now we have over 100 members in the league. And we have a summer league, a winter league, a fall league. So we got a couple of leagues on the go, and we also participate in the Eastern Tournament, which is 5 provinces, Quebec, New Brunswick, PEI, Nova Scotia, and ourselves, right? So we do have a team that represents Newfoundland. Oh, it's very important. Like, we're always looking for things to do during winter. Sports, I mean, some of the boys are playing badminton and table tennis and running around in the works. But this is a game that everybody enjoys and brings us together. So it's just a way to get out during winter and kind of have some exercise, keep the blood flow going, and just have a good time. So we get a trophy right at the back there, and bragging rights for till the next winter league is played and summer league. So we do rub that in.
In case you're thinking it, this is actually not a UFO. We just can't get enough of these rare jellyfish that were captured on video by the Okinawa's Explorer ship.
Oh, just fabulous. The jellyfish are found deep in the South Pacific in a protected marine sanctuary near American Samoa. But they do look otherworldly, don't they, Carolyn?
They certainly do.
Yeah, change those bulbs. Beautiful.
hundreds of people headed out early today for some hot cakes in Happy Valley Goose Bay. The annual pancake breakfast was held with the money raised going to the Salvation Army for housing projects. About 1,200 pancakes were dished up, raising $5,400. Organizers say these kinds of community events help get projects like the town's emergency homeless shelter up and running. The center opened this winter.
The reason we have a shelter today is because the community came together, partners, agencies, different levels of government, all together for one common goal, and now is a reality. So we have something to celebrate.
Meanwhile, CBC in St. John's is gearing up for Tasty Tunes, a singer-songwriter circle at the Delta Hotel. It's a fundraiser for the Community Food Sharing Association. It'll happen on Saturday, March 25th, and we'll have more details on that in the coming weeks.
Well, Boston Dynamics has revealed the latest in its long line of agile, capable robots. This is Handler. The helper robot can travel 14 kilometers an hour, lift 45 kilograms, and can even jump more than a meter into the air, all thanks to electrically powered hydraulics and the combination of legs and wheels.
Wow. Wow.
So, can you do that, Ryan?
How many years till that thing's serving me breakfast in the morning? Right? It's coming. Quick look at your totals again for tomorrow and into Thursday morning. So this is tomorrow through tomorrow night. And again, it's the southwest coast where we have the rainfall warnings and the northern peninsula where we'll see the most snow, a little bit of everything in between. And I love this. It's called Push, Look, Luke, Push. And yeah, Lorna says spring can't come soon enough for some. And a great picture there. So many great pics on my Facebook page. Thanks for sharing.
Oh, it's a dandy. And that looks like we're going to linger on that and say good night to you all. And we'll see you back here tomorrow.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.